My opinion, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of negative feedback from other brokers on this. I think $75,000 is too low, and I think to really protect the carriers, keep the bad actors out. I think they need to bump it up.
Welcome to Mutha Trucker News. Email us at muthatruckernews@gmail.com. Got my buddy Jason on here. For people that don't know, he runs an asset carrier side and he runs a broker side. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
You talk a lot about, there's a lot of, they call bad actors on the broker side that just gives a lot of people a bad name, right?
Yep.
And so yesterday I made a video talking about the FMCSA possibly getting something more right in the right direction. I was reading comments and there's a lot of people that really think that, it's a little bit too late. Other people are saying, well, they can make as many rules as they want, but will the FMCSA actually do anything about this? Let's jumpstart this a little bit. And for the people that missed that video, basically what the FMCSA was saying is starting today, this rule is final. And I guess by January 16th of 2024, it looks like they're going to implement this. And so tell me, as a broker side, right? And how would this affect your business? And why do you think this is a right or wrong direction, just so that truck drivers can get a better idea of if the FMCSA is doing the right thing or not?
Well, just to kind of jump into it, first and foremost, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a win for the transportation industry. To be honest, I'm kind of with the drivers and the carriers on it. It's only as good as what they enforce it. So I hope that they follow through with it. There's a lot of good brokers out there as well. There's a lot of bad ones. And so I think your good brokers aren't going to sweat this a whole lot. They're going to stand behind it, because the bad ones are the ones that give the good ones, a rough name out there. So from my understanding on it, it's as long as you're doing what you're supposed to and paying the carriers, you don't really have anything to worry about.
No, and I like that a lot. The crazy part is, and you and I talk about this off camera, but tell the drivers, I don't know if this is going to be putting a problem with other brokers here, but what are your thoughts? That $75,000 like surety bond, right? What do you think it actually should be? And do you think that 75,000 is too high, too low?
Okay, my opinion, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of negative feedback from other brokers on this. I think $75,000 is too low. Just a few years ago, it was only $10,000, and then they raised it to 75, which I thought was an excellent thing. I think once again that was a step in the right direction, but I don't feel necessarily that it was enough. If it was up to me, I think it needs to be closer to the $250,000 mark, maybe even a $500,000 mark. And you're going to get a lot of brokers that say, well, that's too high. That's too much. We shouldn't be able to, it shouldn't go that high. Well, I disagree, because, 15, 20 years ago, when rates weren't what they are now, $75,000 was a lot. That covered quite a few loads. Now, when you have freight that goes from the East Coast to the West Coast, or really more so West Coast to East, because the other way is cheap. It's one of those things, you're only talking about, a half a dozen loads to a dozen loads. Well, if they've got any type of volume, $75,000 is covering a day's worth of revenue. I know for us, just depending on the day, we're billing out $250,000 to $500,000 a day. So $75 or $75,000 is not going to go real far. And I think to really protect the carriers, keep the bad actors out, I think they need to bump it up. And I'll be honest, I was actually reading, I went out and researched a little bit. It's been a long time since we've had to, worry about getting a surety bond. We just renew every year. So I went out and just did a little research before you called me to see what it takes to get a surety bond nowadays versus when we had to do it, years ago, decades ago. So I came across a surety company. I'm not going to name names, but, I was reading about their process. And there was a statement that stuck out to me and I'm going to read this statement to you. talks about 2 to 3% of the premium, so it's going to cost you about $1,000 a year. However, this is what it says. However, if you have bad credit, don't worry about being denied for a bond. Quality surety companies like fill in the blank service do everything possible to approve everyone for a bond, even if they have low credit or have a bankruptcy on their record. Now, that's pretty scary to me. If a person doesn't know how to handle their own personal finances, should they really be handling other people's money? And that's what it is. Let's just call it what it is. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I read an article on Overdrive that said 75% of owner-operators stated that they have had to seek remedy at least one time in their career when a broker didn't pay them. So you've got companies out here saying, no matter how bad your credit is, no matter how bad you are with money, we're going to work to get you approved. And then another article saying 75% of all carriers is going to have this issue. Well, there's a big problem right there.
If I'm reading this correctly, I'm trying to get someone from the FMCSA on the show as well, is that right now you can get a loan on that $75,000, which is ridiculous to me. But it sounds like they're taking that away and you actually have to have actual $75,000. I'm not sure if I'm reading that right or not.
So you can either have a loan or if for us, what we've done is we've gone out and we have a line of credit with the bank that basically it keeps $75,000 cash over to the side. And so at any point in time, somebody was to file on our surety bond, then they're going to pull from the bank. Well, as soon as they pull from our line of credit at the bank, then the bank makes us go out there and replenish that $75,000. It needs to be in there to cover that at all times. So what this states is somebody files on us and they pull from that $75,000 from the surety, and the surety turns around and pulls from our bank, and we don't have the funds to put that back in there, then they suspend our authority immediately. And to me, that's awesome, because that will shut up. Will it fix everything? No, not even close. But it will shut them down immediately to where they can't continue to hurt, these carriers day after day for weeks or possibly even months.
And overall, I think getting the bad people out, that's got to raise the rates, man. That's got to raise the rates, because look, yeah, some people say the shippers determine the rates. Other people say the brokers do. But I truly think that the carrier and the truck drivers do. I mean, if the carriers and drivers actually 100% said, no, we're not taking this unless you give us this amount. I mean, what is a shipper or a broker going to do about that, right?
Absolutely. And here's the thing is, the transportation industry, in my opinion, is like every other industry. We're no different than manufacturers, restaurants, service industries. It's all about supply and demand, and so if the supply of trucks go down or the supply of bad carriers go down, rates will go up. If the supply of brokers out there in the middle goes down, then the demand goes up. So getting the bad actors out, whether it's on the broker side or the carrier side, because there is plenty on both, I promise you.
Yeah. I can imagine there's bad carriers outbidding each other, doing it for pennies.
So I won't name any names once again, but we had a customer that we had a lane with. We recently bid, and we went back with the exact same rates that we had for the year previous. So this is going to be rates for 2024. Currently, we had those rates at $1,300 per load. The carrier that came in, and now this is on our asset side. We're not talking brokers taking in the middle. We're talking about our asset carrier. We had a carrier come in, and we were at $1,300. They bid this lane down to $925. That brings in that lane at 89 cents a mile. That's not 89 cents a mile plus fuel. That's 89 cents a mile all in.